you guys, welcome to the Paper and Glam Book Club for the month of October. So before we jump in, I just want to apologize. This video is a week late. I know that some of you have been wondering if I am continuing with the book club, and absolutely I am. I love to read. I read regardless of whether there's a book club. I just got sick and fell behind and the light wasn't cooperating with me. So today I jumped out of the shower and was like, oh my gosh, the light is great. I'm just going to film really quick. So anyway, absolutely, there might be some wiggle room just when I get the videos up, but the book club is continuing. So anyway, let's jump into our October read. So I hope that you enjoyed Gillian Flynn's Gone Girl for the month of October, or during the month of October. I know I did. I loved it. I would say 4 stars, and the only reason I wouldn't give it a full 5 stars is because it's probably not something that I would reread. It's a classic whodunit, so once you know whodunit, it's not really as interesting or as thrilling to go back through. If you're watching this and you haven't read Gone Girl and you still want to, there's not going to be any spoilers in this video, so go ahead and just keep watching, and that's going to be true of all of my videos. And if there are spoilers, I will definitely let you know in advance that I'm about to say whodunit. So anyway, for those who are new to Gone Girl, so Gone Girl is a story of basically a married couple, and things just go really poorly in the beginning of the book. So they both lose their jobs. Nick, the husband, his mother is very sick, and they move back to his hometown in Indiana to take care of her. And then his dad has Alzheimer's, and it's just kind of a perfect storm for them, just leading up to the place where we kind of find them. And their marriage really disintegrates, and we get flashbacks through Amy, the wife's journal, of what their courtship was like and what their lives are like now, and just some things that happened between them. So yeah, the book is really just about a story of a couple, and the husband Nick, he actually betrays Amy and has a mistress, and Amy knows about it, and it just kind of drives her crazy, and she goes off the deep end, to say the least. So it's definitely a darker book, but nothing scary. I personally won't read anything scary. So this is perfect for Halloween. It's dark, but it wasn't scary, and it was an absolute thriller that kept me and everyone that I know who read it, and most of you, totally on the edge of our seats. So that kind of leads us to the first real question of our book club, and that is, how did you experience Gone Girl? What was your experience reading the book? So as with If I Stay, I am actually going to read you Lauren's beautiful review, because as with If I Stay, she just captured it so well, better than I could have written it. So she says, it was a rainy and windy evening in the Pacific Northwest. The Halloween lights around my apartment casting an orange glow, and a pumpkin latte candle flickering on my mantle. It might seem like a calm, relaxing place, but it did nothing to ease me. Gripping the book like it was my lifeline, my eyes scanning the pages ferociously, my mind with no room for anything but the plot and what would happen next. This book, the more you think about it, the more brilliant it becomes. It has been the backdrop of my thoughts the last week or so, and I find the ideas of the story lurking in random places in my mind. Gillian Flynn painted this perfectly wicked story, and with a pilot that slams you with twists you will never see coming. How utterly brilliant. Speechless. So I think Lauren could have been sitting right next to me, because that was exactly my experience of the book. I was glued to it. I read it in a week. If you are like me and you have like a huge list of books that you want to read, and you're like, which should I read next, and this looks like kind of a hefty book, it will take you a week and a half, 2 at most. I mean, you won't be able to put it down, so it's riveting. So yeah, that was absolutely a perfect portrayal of my experience of reading If I Stay, and it will most definitely be yours if you should choose to read it. And I would love to hear what your experience was reading Gone Girl, or any of the books that we read together, in the comments below or on the blog, or any way that you choose to reach out. I would kind of love this to be a collaborative book club. So on to our next question. What was your favorite quote? So mine comes from the very end of the book, and again, don't worry, this isn't going to be a spoiler by any means. So we are on page 414 if you are following along, and this is Amy, the wife, speaking about just love, and I just think this quote's beautiful and definitely thought-provoking. She says, "I was told love should be unconditional. That's the rule. Everyone says so. But if love has no boundaries, no limits, no conditions, why should anyone try to do the right thing ever? If I know I am loved no matter what, where's the challenge? Am I supposed to love Nick despite all his shortcomings? And is Nick supposed to love me despite everything? Love me despite my quirks? But clearly, neither of us does. It makes me think that everyone is very wrong, that love should have many conditions. Love should require both partners to be at their very best at all times. Unconditional love is an undisciplined love. And as we have all seen, undisciplined love is disastrous." So one of the reasons that I love this quote so much is that it really captures the essence of the book. So besides the classic thriller, psychological thriller of what is around the next bend, it also just captures a kind of a age-old dating issue, I guess you could say. The book really goes into Amy and Nick's courtship and how they were just so wildly in love and really the best versions of themselves when they were dating, and then they got married and real life kind of started taking them down, and their marriage disintegrated, which was so tragic in the book. So I love the quote, and I don't remember where it's from, but in the story of marriage, the hero dies in the first act, and I really thought of that quote as I was reading this book because, I mean, it just makes you think about kind of the way that we change to kind of become like the person that we love, and sometimes that shift can feel like a betrayal when we go back to who we were before. And so that is what kind of the premise of the book is. And that thought is also the second or the third question that we talk about in the Paper and Glam Book Club, and that is, you know, what did this book make you think about? What was thought-provoking? How did it change you? So I wouldn't say this is really a like, how did this change your life type of book, although I am going to do a video on those books, just some of my very favorite books, because that was a big request. Yeah, I think that is kind of really captures it for Gone Girl. I would love to hear what your thoughts are just on both the premise of the book and then also just what you think about the unconditional love. So, of course, I am a Christian, so I believe in unconditional love, and I believe we're called to love as Jesus loved us and loves us. So that really definitely sets the stage for how I feel about conditional love versus unconditional love, but I would love to hear your thoughts. So our last question is book versus movie. So this, of course, only applies to the books that have recently gone into theaters or the adaptation has hit theaters, which has been a lot of the books that we are reading this year, or all of the books that we're reading this year in 2014. And I hope a couple of the ones that we will be reading together in 2014. So I definitely have to say the book was better, and that this is actually the first time this year because I thought every other book I've read this year, the movie was, oh my gosh, so much better than the book. So yeah, the movie was great. I think they did a great job casting it. The acting was killer. The scene was great. The only issue really was that it was almost impossible and was impossible to capture the detail and the nuance that is in, you know, this 400 and some odd page book in even a 2.5 hour movie. So I just felt like the movie, it captured the plot perfectly and definitely kept my friends who hadn't read the book guessing as to what was going to happen next. But if you read the book, the story was the relationship. The story was about love gone wrong, and the movie, just because they didn't have time to go back too far and really capture the breakdown like the book did, it kind of skipped over that. And also the ending. The ending was my favorite part because in the book it implies that as Nick and Amy acted like they were in love, they began to fall in love. And I think we kind of missed that in the adaptation in the theaters. So that was my take on Gone Girl. I would love to hear your thoughts on all of those questions or anything else that you had thought about as you were reading Gone Girl. And for November, we are reading Cheryl Strayed's Wild. So for those of you who jumped on Goodreads and just found out what the next book is, despite the fact that I completely failed to post the video in a timely fashion, awesome. The Goodreads group, which is linked below, is a perfect way to connect. I have actually a ton of books that we'll be reading in the future up on the bookshelf, so you can go take a peek, see what we're reading next month, and then also taking requests for 2015. I put up some of the books that we'll be reading and kind of loose dates. It wasn't letting me put books up just with the year. It was making me choose dates, so I took like a loose guess at maybe when I thought we would read a few of the books that I am certain we'll read in 2014, but definitely subject to change until, you know, about the month before. I'm definitely not married to that schedule by any means. I just got some feedback that you loved that the books were available on Goodreads well in advance, a few months in advance. So I went ahead and added some of the books that I would love to read in 2015, which brings us to the giveaway. So thanks for staying with me. So you may have seen I did an Erin Condren giveaway, and that is still running up until Thanksgiving, but I really wanted to do a giveaway for my readers specifically, and maybe those that aren't planner gurus like me and a lot of my subscribers. So the giveaway, which will be up through Thanksgiving, is a copy of Girl Boss, which I'm going to murder her name, but her name is Sophia Amoruso, and she wrote this book that has been flying off the shelves since last summer when it came out. I've been dying to read it, and we will be kicking off the new year reading this book, so I would love to get you your own copy of Gone Girl, or excuse me, oh my gosh, Girl Boss. So excited to read this in January. This will absolutely be our January read, and I would love to get one of you a copy. So what do you have to do to win? 3 things, very similar to the Erin Condren giveaway. 1, be subscribed to my channel. 2, give this video a thumbs up. And 3, leave me a comment below with the book that you are most excited to read in 2015. I would love to get some ideas of what you would love to read next and in the new year. So with that, I hope you enjoyed this giveaway, specifically for my readers. It means the world that you guys are reading along with me and this idea resonated with you. So, as always, if there's anything that you think we can change or any way we can make the book club better, I'd love to hear your suggestions. And I hope you love Wild and are reading it through November. I'll talk to you next month when we discuss Cheryl Strayed's Journey on the Pacific Crest Trail.